Great, we can get started. So once again, a big welcome to the GSMA mWomen webinar, and thanks for joining us. My name is Priya, and I'm a Commercial Program Manager in the GSMA mWomen team. I'll be presenting today along my colleague Mac, and we hope that this brief session, which draws on the experience of two operators, will give you plenty of ideas on how to reach new customers. The lines have been muted to ensure that the sound is clear for all of you joining, but we very much want to hear from you. So please send us your questions via the private chat facility. On to the agenda. First of all, I'll spend 10 minutes outlining Dialog's 5-star partner program, and then I'll hand over to Mac, who will present Etisalat's WINA initiative, and then we'll have 10 minutes for questions and answers. So on to Dialog. Dialog is a subsidiary of the Axiata Group, which is operating in Sri Lanka, which is a very competitive market with 5 operators for a population of only 21 million. And currently, less than half of this population owns a mobile connection, and a large proportion of customers aren't aware of the full range of mobile services. As is often the case, the most untapped segment is rural women, which clearly presents a substantial commercial opportunity. So in order to address this, Dialog launched the 5-star partner program, which created a special network of retail agents to drive penetration of mobile and value-added services amongst rural communities, in particular women. So we think this is a very interesting case study for operators in other markets because it illustrates the benefit of investing in distribution. Especially in rural areas, agents are the only interface the customer has with the brand. So careful selection, training, and incentivizing can help an operator to expand its subscriber base and increase use of mobile money and VAT. This is a topic that our colleagues in GSMA's Mobile Money for the Unbanked team have spent a great deal of time researching, and we encourage you to look at their website for plenty of practical tips on agent network. So what is the 5-star partner program and how does it work? Well, first of all, recruitment. Dialog interviewed high-performing retailers and assessed them for their suitability to be elevated to the 5-star partner program. Because Dialog wished to use its distribution channel to drive penetration and increase VAS sales amongst rural women, it made a concerted effort to recruit female agents as 5-star partners. Dialog then conducted 2 training programs with the selected retailers through workshops and followed up with aftercare, including an exclusive hotline phone service and SMS communication. Dialog also provided the 5-star partner retailers who attended the training workshops with branded signage and special t-shirts. So as well as the social impact of empowering women and enabling them to build their businesses and developing their skills as retail agents, the training showed results with very strong commercial implications. First of all, women have high levels of customer service. So the survey data showed that female customers rated the women retailers as having better customer service. Perhaps this isn't so surprising, as women retailers can more easily establish a rapport with female customers. What's even more interesting is that the studies that we did showed that male customers also rated female retailers higher on customer service than male retailers. Secondly, women retailers support customers in their mobile understanding. So these customer skills, combined with women's cultural preference for female retailers, make female agents very well positioned to help women customers overcome some of the barriers to mobile uptake. So for example, they can provide a comfortable environment for women to discuss the value a mobile connection could bring, or they could explain value-added services in a way that women can relate to. Trained women retailers are better business people. So through the workshops, women acquired knowledge and skills that help them to improve and build their businesses, both the mobile and the non-mobile components. So we found after the training workshops that the women who attended had a better customer focus. They now think carefully about shop layout and cross-selling opportunities. And interestingly for Dialog, the women 5-star partners are on average selling 12% more Dialog SIMs than they did prior to the training. And this makes sense. Selling mobile products relies on excellent customer relations. Sales agents need to explain different airtime bundle options to consumers, they need to build relationships, and they need to engage in a friendly manner with shoppers. So if an agent has good customer service skills, they're more likely to be successful at selling products. There were, of course, plenty of challenges in recruiting female retailers, and then also in ensuring that they attend the training session. It took a lot of effort and perseverance for Dialog to identify suitable women candidates to invite to the training, and even once they'd been identified, a large proportion didn't actually attend. Interestingly, about half of the women who were invited were replaced by someone else who worked at the outlet, and in nearly all cases, this was either their husband or another male relative. By contrast, only a handful of the male retailers were replaced. So as you think about implementing similar approaches in your own market, consider how to make the training women-friendly. We have a couple of ideas, some of which have already been implemented by Dialog. So for example, consider extending the invitation to the training to the male guardians of the female agents, and make it clear in the communications that they're welcome to join. You can also think about offering basic childcare facilities, such as a small creche. And also, when you select a venue, think about where women will be comfortable attending. So a community centre, for example, could be more women-friendly than an upmarket hotel or a formal conference centre. And once you've got the women to the training workshop, remember that the technical training needs to be tailored to their needs. So like women in Sri Lanka generally, female retailers often have lower technical literacy than men, and that needs to be taken into account into training. How? So for example, having more hands-on demonstrations, having female trainers, etc., etc. So now, if you're interested and you're thinking about how to design and implement this type of initiative in your market, here are a few recommendations. First of all, think about the team and which part of the organization should be incubating initiatives like this. Who should be on the team that works on it? So in Dialog, this was incubated by the Sustainability Division, which is responsible for designing and testing new approaches for digital inclusion. The ultimate owner of the initiative is the National Sales Division, which has been a key stakeholder throughout. And then partnerships. Avoid reinventing the wheel. Third parties can help with various elements, for example, providing content for the training itself. They can actually help to run training workshops, and they can help in accessing rural populations and providing consumer insights. So, for example, our grantee Airtel Uganda is working on a mobile money solution for savings groups, and rather than conducting research into the behaviors of savings groups, they partnered with Grameen Foundation, which had already done a lot of work and research in this area. And then when it comes to designing the training, think about who should be invited from the retail outlet. It's not as simple as it might appear. A solo business owner running a shop is not necessarily the typical model. So in Sri Lanka, for example, we found that 42% of outlets have more than one person working on mobile-related activities. So when recruiting training participants, it's important to consider who owns the shop, who runs the business, and who serves the customers. There can be a gender bias in who plays these roles. So, for example, in Sri Lanka, women are less likely to own outlets than men, but still play a large role in serving mobile customers, and husband-wife outlets are common. In these circumstances, it could be beneficial to have a training model that is flexible enough to allow more than one person from an outlet to attend. Next, onto the content itself. So think about what you want the retail agents to get out of the training. Are there certain value-added services that you wish them to promote? Do you want to provide training on your mobile money offering? Do you want to make them aware of your full range of tariff plans? And then, as Dialog did, consider offering training on broader business skills, such as how to offer customer service, how to display goods in the shop. Dialog found that this resulted in more successful retail outlets, which increased the retailer's loyalty to Dialog, and has the added benefit of meaning that customers now associate Dialog's 5-star partner outlets with helpful staff and well-run shops. The Dialog's experience shows that creating a sense of pride in being a 5-star partner led to its retailers going above and beyond the recommendations made in the training to serve their customers. So, for example, one retailer who attended the training then went on to create a special hotline for his customers in his local area, so that they could reach him in case they had any problems with their Dialog scratch cards, with their Dialog SIMs, or any of the value-added services. Before carrying out the training, it's a good idea to conduct a small pilot so that you test out the content and the format that you'll deliver and you can collect feedback. So allow plenty of time between the pilot and the main workshop so that improvements can be incorporated. And finally, sharing. Given that there are different dynamics in the retail outlet, encourage participants of the training to share what they've learned with others in the shop and make it easy for them to do so. For example, give them a laminated sheet of key messages or the benefits of key value-added services, and then have some ongoing support. This is really important. You need to maintain a two-way dialogue with the agents so that they can get the support that they need to service customers, and so that head office can get feedback from the grassroots level. For some ideas, as Dialog did, you can think about having a hotline phone service for these retailers, and you can also conduct refresher training workshops, which you can use to educate the retailers on new offerings which you may have launched. So finally, Dialog realized that a motivated, well-trained network of agents not only led to better outcomes for the retailers, but was also the key to expanding its subscriber base and increasing ARPU in rural populations. We hope this has got you thinking about your market and your respective agent networks. Maybe they could benefit from similar training programs. I'll now hand over to my colleague Max, who's going to spend 10 minutes talking about how Etisalat is harnessing the power of rural communities to reach new customers.
Well, thank you very much, Priya. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Max. I'm the Senior Commercial Program Manager for GSMA and Women and Connected Women based in London. So I'm now asking you to leave Sri Lanka and travel 5,000 miles west with me to Togo and Benin in Western Africa. We're going to talk about the offer Etisalat launched there with its Move Affiliate. Not only because Etisalat is one of our grantees, but mostly because we think they adopted a very relevant approach by designing a full value proposition tailored for rural women. And also because their objective is not only to have a positive social impact on this underserved population, but also to harness the power of communities to build an offer that will be commercially sustainable. A small point of clarification before we dive in. What you will hear today mainly is the description of the offer itself. You won't see impact numbers. We know you like numbers and we love numbers as well, but the impact analysis is still going on, so you will have to be a bit patient and wait for the full size for the results. Well, so the project is called WENA. WENA is a bespoke Pan-African brand for women. With this brand comes a set of guidelines and principles developed by Etisalat that each affiliate obviously has to adapt to their own local context. So generally, when it comes to developing the local value proposition, there are actually 5 key components that require specific attention in order to make sure that the target will be reached with an offer that will be both commercially sustainable and socially impactful. So let's go through them quickly. The first component is the tariff plan, because let's face it, price is still number 1 on the list of decision criteria for most subscribers in low and middle income countries. So if you don't get the pricing right, the rest will be pretty useless. We will come back to the tariff plan in the next few minutes because it really is a critical point. The second component, a loyalty mechanism. Any loyal customer expects his or her loyalty to be rewarded, especially in contexts where operators are pretty aggressive when it comes to bonuses, whether they're bonuses based on recharge or usage items. And we'll come back to this point as well. The component number 3, the right distribution network. We usually hear that there are 3 things you will find virtually anywhere in the world: cigarettes, Coca-Cola, and scratch cards. Mobile operators have understood a long time ago that the distribution is key. And it's particularly true when you aim to target populations in remote areas, like it's the case here. The fourth component is marketing and communication. And we're not talking here so much about billboards and TV advertising, but more advertising that's tailored to the media consumption habits of the target population, for instance, local radios or direct below-the-line marketing. And the 5th key component here is value-added services. Because today the mobile is more than just a way to call other people. and also because a lot of operators have a large catalog of value-added services that you can think of packaging to add value to an offer. So we know it's early for some of you and late for others, so just a quick recap on the 5 key components of a successful value proposition for a full woman: the tariff plan, the loyalty mechanism, the distribution network, marketing and communication, and last but not least, value-added services. So let's have a closer look at the first 3. If we start with the tariff plan, so Togo and Benin have adopted 2 different approaches that have one key characteristic in common though: a closed user group. So if you're new to the mobile operator lingo, basically a closed user group is a community of users that enjoy a discounted tariff to call one another. So in Togo, for instance, on the left-hand side of the slide, WINA users enjoy lower prices per minute than quote-unquote standard users. They can call other WINA users for only 35 CFA per minute, that's like 7 cents of a dollar, while it costs almost twice as much in the general tariff plan for a user to call one of their 5 preferred numbers. In Benin, on the right-hand side of the slide now, Move has introduced packages where WINA users can get, for instance, 200 minutes to their community for only 2,000 CFA, which is roughly €1. Some of you might be thinking that the operator is destroying value by discounting minutes. But the fact is, the users we are targeting usually have very low to no consumption, and they live in areas where the network is critically underused. So any additional usage is positive, and each minute they spend on the phone also makes them more comfortable with mobile, and more likely to use it more often. And this obviously only works if you can closely control who's part of the closed user group to avoid opportunistic behavior from other users. You will understand how it works when we talk about distribution shortly. So I could go on and on about this, but we're running out of time, so I'm jumping to the loyalty scheme. So again, a standard loyalty scheme works as follows. Your operator will basically reward you with a few free minutes based on your past consumption. That's pretty simple, but it wouldn't make sense for the WINA user for 2 reasons. First, it's not more airtime that she needs, it's basically money. And second, it doesn't take into account the community dimension in her life that is actually reflected in the tariff plan. So for WINA users, the bonus is actually paid on a mobile money account instead of in airtime. And that's also a very good incentive for them to start using mobile money as well. And on top of the individual bonus, the whole community also gets a bonus based on each member's consumption. And that's clever, because this bonus, again, is not just airtime. This bonus is to be used towards a project that is developed and run by the community itself. On the slide is a picture of the community I did visit outside of Lomé in Togo, where most of the women attend literally classes 2 to 3 times a week. Their ambition with that money is to invest their bonus into buying more tables to be able to welcome more students to these classes, and eventually to try and earn enough money to build a hard roof over the classroom so classes can actually continue during the rainy season. But all this obviously takes a fair amount of customer education and management, so that's why we need a dedicated distribution mechanism. So each group of WINA users has a WINA agent responsible for the group. The agent will basically recruit the members of the community, be the preferred point of sale, and manage their community loyalty account that just talked about. On top of all these WINA agents who are on the ground, you also have a handful of WINA ambassadors who are women with a high national profile who not only are the face of the program and the promoters of WINA, but also can leverage the local network to help recruit communities. On the picture, you can see 2 of the ambassadors in Togo. Both have created their own NGO and are highly respected in their communities. Octave, to the left, set up the local chapter of the Espérance et Vie Widows Association after losing her husband in 1995 and experiencing first-hand difficulties widows faced in Togo. Amy, by her side, created her own NGO in 2000 when she was only 14, and since developed a variety of initiatives to help children in mother, including a school, a library, a fruit juice factory, and a recycled bag workshop, among others. Very inspiring women committed to helping other women in their community. And I think I will stop here. But I have some homework for you to do now. Based on what you've just heard in the past 10 minutes, I'd like you to take 10 more minutes in the next few days to ask yourself 3 simple questions, the one that you see appear on the slide. Providing you design it as part of a full value proposition, how much do you think an attractive rural women tariff plan will impact volume, churn, and market share, and brand perception as well in your market, especially in remote areas? The second question, how much could you benefit from leveraging local women communities to reach and educate rural customers in a structured manner? You know, those customers that live in areas your network might cover, but that you struggle to attract because they're pretty hard to reach. And finally, what would happen if your main competitor were to launch such a value proposition in your market tomorrow? And what if you were the first mover? What competitive advantage would you gain should you be the first to seize the opportunity and launch this value proposition? If you're not sure how to answer these, we are more than happy to try and help you. You can obviously read the full version of the snapshot on our website, but please also feel free to send us an email and request a call with us. It's afterwards free. So I'll hand it back to Priya, and we'll cover the questions that were asked on the slide, on the chat. Sorry.
Thank you, Max. And again, thanks to all of you for taking time to join us. We have now about 5 minutes left for your questions, so please send them through to me via the private chat function, which you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen. The first question we had is, how do I find the content for these case studies and also the contact details? Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, please have a look on our website, which is www.mwomen.org, and if you go to the resources page, you will see various publications, research pieces, case studies which are of interest, and the Etisalat and Dialog case studies are up there. So we encourage you to take some time to read those, and they will go into more detail about what we've spoken about today. And secondly, to contact us, yes, you're very much welcome. Feedback for this webinar, any questions you have, etc. So please write to us, mwomen@gsma.com. We have another question about the MENA offering, and the question is, typically, how many women are there in the closed user groups that Max outlined?
And that's a very interesting question, and I'll answer in the case of Togo in particular. Basically, in the plan in the beginning was to try and include around 20 to 30 women in a closed user group, because they realized that, like, for a given village, basically, there were usually a community of, like, 20, 30 women at the beginning who could be, like, part of the group. But when they started doing that, they realized that men were actually a bit reluctant to let women join the community, not because they thought that women should not have access to mobile, but just because they thought they wanted to be part of that closed user group as well. So today the closed user groups are a bit bigger and basically include not only women, but also the ability for them to have their husband and 1 or 2 of their children join the closed user group.
Fantastic. We have a couple more questions. So one of these is, how many of these stories and lessons and insights are applicable to other markets? So I'll start off by talking about the Dialog offering. So clearly, the plan here in the Dialog offering is to create a very well-trained and motivated network of retail agents. And from our perspective, we feel that that's very replicable and applicable to different markets. It's something that we think lots of operators can benefit from. Clearly, what will need to be done market by market is specific research to find out the situation of the agent networks in your market. So who are the high-performing agents, perhaps segment them into different buckets, and also have a look at women's participation in the retail chain in your market in particular, see what that looks like, and why is it the case. And then you can think about taking some of the elements from the Dialog offering and applying them to your own market.
Yeah, and the same will basically apply to broader value proposition. it is very important to understand the local context, and usually the local teams have this kind of expertise. But there's just sometimes there's a need for like a few more keys for them to understand the situation better, and that's why research and like spending time to understand the local context is very important. I'm going to take the next question. It's actually two questions from two different people, but they are connected to the same topic. Basically, we're being asked how much this costs and how profitable the offer is. As I mentioned in the beginning, might not have actually mentioned the date of the launch, but these two initiatives were launched in November 2013, so about 6 months ago, and we're about to start the impact analysis, so we'll have more detail in the coming weeks about this. But, I mean, the profitability needs to be looked at in different ways. It is obviously not a standard tariff plan and a standard offer, so usually project manager asks for return on investment and payback that would be like 6 to 9 months. In this case, it is obviously closer to 2 years than it is to 6 months. But what's important is when you build a business case for this kind of services, you should not only take into account the direct revenues, or even the usual indirect revenues in terms of reduction of churn. You need to take into account the fact that you're going to attract customers that today are completely out of reach, but also that you're going to have massive savings in terms of communication. For instance, as I said earlier, if you try and do TV ads for these people and spend your communication budget on these kind of bearers, it's just not going to work. While if you build this network, you are able to reach the people more accurately. And another point as well is on the distribution network, which usually is very costly. In this case, basically what WENA has done is they have a CSR approach that is basically to spend, obviously, quite a large amount of money on helping develop the local ecosystem. And they have redirected, basically, quite a large chunk of their CSR budget to this offer, because they think it makes more sense to choose one specific topic. And they've been partnering, for instance, with Lead Sogo for the past 5 years, picking a topic a year, whether it is access to electricity or to water, for instance. And this one is basically using the available CSR funds from the operator and basically put them towards a project that will not only in the beginning, of course, have direct social benefits, but in the longer run will help build a sustainable offer.
Great, thank you, Max. Hope that answers some of your questions about profitability and payback time for this type of initiative. We have another question about Dialog, and the question is, why didn't a large proportion of the women show up to the training workshops that they were invited to? That's a great question. There were a few reasons that we found when we did some of the research and did field studies and interviews with the women and men who were invited to the training. And for the women, there were a few different reasons. One of them was very practical. They had childcare responsibilities. They had responsibilities in the shop. They just simply weren't able to leave those. Another point was the interest from their husbands. So what we found was that once the husbands were aware of the training opportunity that their wives had been invited to, they decided that they would go in place of their wives. So that was the case for quite a few of them. And also, perhaps maybe a culturally specific reason, initially some of the training workshops were held in hotels. And one of the feedbacks that we got from some of the women was that they weren't comfortable attending an event in a hotel. So it was a venue as well that put people off. So a combination of reasons, and plenty of things we can learn from the example. But I think one of the main things is that if you do a little bit of research or a pilot or speak to women first, that can save a lot of time and effort later on. Because you have designed something which is women friendly and that they're able to and comfortable to attend.
Nancy, we're going to be taking that one last question because it's over 11 already. It's one for you, Priya, actually. I'm basically asking what kind of communication was there an ATL campaign related to the dialogue?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of Dialog in Sri Lanka and their five-star partner branding, they very, very successfully, as I said, created a sense of pride in being a five-star partner. And one of the executives at Dialog told us that they wanted the five-star partners to be seen as the Apple genius of their village. They want people to understand that these are trained retailers, and they, yes, as the question stated, they had ATL and BTL sort of campaigns to promote the five-star partners. So they used billboards, but very strategically in certain areas. And interestingly, some much lower cost strategies worked really well. So they provided five-star partners with high-quality branded T-shirts. And when we went out to Sri Lanka, we saw that these T-shirts have become the most precious commodity ever. So there's a lot of pride, and people wear these T-shirts if they've attended the training workshops and they're elevated to the five-star partner status. And that, in fact, sends a clear message to everybody as to who is the Apple genius in the village, for example. And they also provided branded signage for the retail outlets, which are five-star partners. So a whole combination of activities there to let people know.
Well, thank you, Priya. I think it's time to thank all of you for joining this webinar. It's a pleasure for us to be in touch. So you can reach out to us on mWomen@gsma.com or directly to us if you know us already. And we basically look forward to doing more of these webinars and more content in the coming months. And we hope you'll join in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.